your ship together, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today, we were making Zoey laugh because Zoey's with us today. Say hi to Zoey, everyone. And together, we are going to continue as the Big Gay Energy crew to talk about Our Flag Means Death. And right now we're doing season 1, and we're going to start with episode 4 and see how far we get.
Yes, because we talk it through as a crew. Woo! Woo! I don't know what's going on. But, as usual, let me get through my whole spiel because we need you to help us create more queer content. So,
please help us. Please help us.
Please, we need it. Please. I'm begging you. Please.
If you're here, thank you.
I'm tired. This is what you get.
Don't be too scared. We promise it'll be fun. Just go on with us.
We're just getting in the mindset of being on the revenge crew.
Exactly. The Big Gay Energy crew.
Okay. So if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel, give this video a like, and drop a comment to share your thoughts. We absolutely love hearing from you. For our podcast listeners, please download this episode and leave a review if you can. Your engagement helps us reach a broader audience and spread the joy of queer content all over the place. For even more exclusive queer content, early access to videos, and full reaction videos, you can see the full Our Flag Means Death reaction videos. That's insane! Join us on Patreon for $5 a month.
The coffee is kicking in.
It really
is. You all know.
The coffee is carrying the load right now.
Okay, ooh. I forgot where I am. All right, dive off the ship into discussions on our Discord. I don't know where I am. Discussions on our Discord channel where we enjoy connecting with all of you. It is a queer joy of a time. Explore our merchandise at biggayenergypod.com to show your support, and let us know if you want all of these merch ideas that we keep talking about for Our Flag Means Death. Most of them are in a reaction video, so make sure you watch those. I'll make them. I have to figure it out, but I have to make them.
Basically, the thoughts were get your ship together, and they were co-captains. If you want more, leave us ideas in the comments.
All links will be in the description. Lastly, stay connected with us on all social media platforms by following @BigGayEnergyPod. Thank you to Zoey for managing most of our profiles. Your interactions mean the world to us, and these actions contribute to our ongoing celebration of queer media and advocacy for better representation. Representation matters, bitches! Woo! On to season 4! I mean,
I wish. I wish.
Girl, you know how happy you just made so many people? And then sad.
I am off the rails already!
Kaitlynn has fallen overboard.
Woo! Alright, episode 4. I am lightheaded.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am wonderful because I love this episode.
Yes,
I know 5 I really like as well. But you all requested 104 as a reaction video for us, and I'm so glad you did because this is when we really get to see Stede's previous life. Yes. I'm joking. Hold on.
It's Kaitlynn so emotional. You can't handle it.
Oh, I'm so choked up. All right, so we really get to see how his life wasn't what he wanted. And I really love the opening shots with Stede and Mary because you basically see that they both don't want to be here. They're like, why do we have to do this shit? I want to marry for love. And the way the shots pan but Mary and Stede stay on their respective sides with the people they're talking to. And it's beautiful. Go watch it, all right? But it conveys how they are from two other sides. Like, they're not on the same...
They're on the same page.
Thank you.
They're not even in the same scene together.
They're not in the same universe.
Yeah.
No.
So, Mary is to marry Stede because he has money. And Stede has to marry Mary for acreage. I don't know what that means. Oh.
For land.
for land. Okay, got
basically,
it.
so like they're aristocrats. So this is an aristocratic marriage. Like she's a woman, and women can't inherit land. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
So, or money or have jobs. So like she has to marry a man who's at her social status or above to keep the family where they're at. Stede, basically, like, and so like the thing that makes her attractive, quote, in this society is the fact that her father can be like, she comes with a bunch of land. So Stede's family gets to expand their empire. So like that's why these two strangers they like, we don't never even met. We don't even know each other, but it's like, it's a marriage to consolidate power, basically, is what's happening. And you can see very clearly it makes neither of these people happy.
Yeah, it's essentially just a business transaction.
Yeah, literally, it is a business transaction.
Yeah, and Stede makes a comment saying that he always thought that he'd marry for love. And his dad says, only peasants marry for love. Which, let me be a peasant then.
All right.
Well, yeah, and that's because like peasants don't own land, so like they're not worried about acquiring more land or keeping their land. Like he basically is like, they have nothing to lose or gain, so like sure, let them marry for love. He's like, you need to grow the family business by acquiring more land through this marriage. So yeah, it's fucking shitty, and it shows you it's like at the expense of these two people's, quote, happinesses. It's like the society arrangement is really fucking stupid. And but like
that's usually how arranged marriages go, unfortunately.
If we ever took the statistics of this and really looked at this, the number of people who are happy about this, and then like the people getting married, and people who are just like, I feel like would be very skewed, you know?
Just a bit.
Just a bit. For me though, the crushing blow by his father, like Stede's father, always really gets me. Like even here, we get the impression that like Stede is this romantic / dreamer. So the fact that he's like, I wanted to marry for love, like coming from a man, is very interesting and adorable, and I love it. But like, he wants to like enjoy his life and love his life at the end of the day, versus like his father's like, no, you need to go through the motions and do what I'm telling you to do, which is like the patriarchal family structure they're in. Yeah, and it's a business transaction that makes nobody happy. Like they're marrying strangers, like it sucks.
Whenever I hear the word patriarchal, like my brain immediately goes, bullshit.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of bullshit that like comes from this, and like no, you can see nobody is happy in this arrangement. Like,
and it doesn't get better than that, because when we first see them together in the same shot, we get this beautifully awkward moment where Stede goes, "Hi, I'm Stede," and Mary's just like, I know. And then he goes, just like, I don't want to touch you.
Oh my god, his little fingertips on her shoulder.
And
it like, really sold it.
Yeah, and my only thought is, oh darling, you are so gay.
But I also love that like they're not just sitting like that, like they're having their first portrait taken, and that's the pose where like Stede's like barely touching her. Remember this awkward moment forever.
And like the beautiful thing about like this is the fact that like while this is happening, Stede is just slowly dying, and like Blackbeard is like, huh, that's interesting. Continue on.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, we're being shown all of this after Stede gets like stabbed in the abdomen. So like, yeah, like high stakes, low stakes. It's so funny.
Yeah. Then, so from there, we're still visiting Stede's past life through his nightmares, I'm assuming. Oh, damn it.
Kaitlynn couldn't take it. She had to take a nap.
I got way too excited. Okay, so they then have a fantastic wedding on the beach where they receive the wedding gift of graves or tombstones. At least tombstones.
And like the hilarity of that is like throughout like the decades, gravestones, grave sites have always been astronomically expensive. So it's kind of a sweet gift. And yeah, as fucked up as it is.
Oh my god. No, so right.
It also shows that this marriage was dead in the water on initiation.
It also shows the extent to their wealth, because back in the day, they would just pile bodies in one mass, same grave, if they were related. So this just kind of furthers like the extent of both Mary's acquired wealth from her family, and then as well as Stede's, because they were able to afford two separate graves rather than the one mass grave, which I think is a nice little historical note.
No, that's a really good point. Other thing, though, from Steve's point of view, seeing this, he's like, this is basically the rest of my life. Like, it's just going to end like this. Like, this is it. Like, it seems so final. Like, they're starting their journey, and they're like, this is the end. Like, there is no getting out of this.
I'm pretty sure
they
talk about eternity. Like, they're really playing, like, this is the rest of your life. But, I mean, at least they didn't give them a death date on the tombstone.
Yeah. That would have been wild. No, this is literally it.
Also, the date is wrong. I know.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, from Historically Accurate. The wiki told me that. I get all my fun facts from the wiki right now, so that's where they're coming from.
That's a womp womp.
Other thing I love about their wedding is just like how fucking gloomy the weather is. Like everything about it is just like doom and gloom, like all of this.
Which another hilarious little lore fact about that is in many like cultures, if it rains on your wedding day, that's a sign of like good fortune and like wealth and prosperity for the relationship, because it's kind of like the heavens are like they're weeping and like tears of joy and stuff like that. So it makes it even more funny that they decided to go to the route of, okay, well, it's all doom and gloom, foreshadowing their relationship, not the other side of the coin.
Yeah, that's such a really good point. Oh, I love that. Yeah, definitely this is a ton of foreshadowing of like the Mary and Stede.
But the rest of the previous life montage is rounded off. Now they have kids.
Yes, boy and a girl, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
But so Mary is basically forcing Stede to play with the kids, which I don't think that's the actual problem. Like, Stede would totally play with them, but Mary's like, and please do not play pirates with them. But then we get a scene of them playing pirates, and we get to see that his daughter is training to be the best pirate ever, and will most likely become the Chinese conqueror's
Zhang.
I don't know how to say the ZH. Zhang, like J?
Zhang.
Right? I don't know. We'll look it up in between the next episode, and definitely by season 2. So I think the daughter's going to become her second by the time she is on her own. That's my, but they're really good at playing pirates, and it's really cute because he is into it. Like, he is, but unfortunately he wants his own life, and that does create a divide between him and his kids. And the art piece that episode 4 is, we get this truly awful but beautiful smash cut of the daughter taking the sword and like plunging it into Stede's stomach, and then it cuts to when Stede got the sword in the stomach the episode before. And it's just truly awful because it's just like, feels like the daughter did it, but I don't know. It's crazy.
It's a mindfuck.
Oh, for sure. But also, like, I love what it implies, because it's like, because you're like you described, Kaitlynn, when Stede was playing pirates with his kids, like, it's make believe, right? And like, if you notice, like, the lighting in the scene, it's very like warm and like happy, and there's just a lot of joy, and Stede seems like he's in his element playing pretend. But here we are and it cuts to like, okay, this is the reality of being a pirate. You're actually getting stabbed in the stomach. Now you're like dying actively. So it's like, is this still make you happy, Steve? So it's kind of like a, how did I get here moment, for Steve. But yeah, love the shot. It's, again, the cinematography in the show is so
oh, it's absolutely glorious, because like the way that I took it with it showing like Stede's like old life with him like squabbling with Mary, with him playing with his kids, then it cutting to him getting stabbed. It's kind of like the life flashing before your eyes trope. So like it's really beautifully well placed for this scene.
Damn, that's such a good point too. And that's why like the graves were really ominous too, because like now he's on his deathbed when in the present. Like, quote, yeah. Kudos to everybody involved. That was really, really great.
Yeah, this whole show, it's just really great.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. One more thing to add to like the Mary and Stede past life kind of montage. I really like in the end when Mary and Stede are in. So Stede relives like his last day / night with his family. And Mary and Stede are in bed before he leaves, like for real is going to leave. And she tries to reason with him one last time and basically says, all we have is this one life. We at least have to try. And that's when Stede pretends he's asleep, like his eyes are wide open and he's snoring and she's like, whatever. And she goes to sleep. But it's really obvious that this sentiment really resonates with Stede. And I think in the moment he's like, yeah, then my decision to leave is correct for me, because like we both only have this one life. He's miserable. He doesn't really fit in with his family. Like if you notice, like anytime they have like sitting at dinner at the table, he's super far away from, and the three of them, Mary and the kids, are clustered. It's like showing he doesn't fit in this life. He doesn't fit in with this family. Yeah, they love each other and stuff, but he does not fit in here. And so I like this line from Mary because I think it's something that everybody in his family have in common, but what it means to be happy just it's not the same picture for all of them. Like Steve has to leave for him to be happy and for them to ultimately be happy, like when we come back and revisit them. So like I really love this parting line from Mary. It's so like poignant, I think. And yeah, I think Steve needed to hear that to be like, yeah, then what I'm doing is right, even though this hurts to leave them.
And it's very impactful, even though like ultimately like what Stede did was semi-selfish, just outright leaving his family to chase like a frivolous dream. That dream worked out, everything worked out in the end, but like still like it's a lot to like let sink in with like the scope of things. Because given Mary wasn't the best wife, but she was a fairly good mom. She absolutely adored her kids, would do anything for them. She just was trying to work with a bad situation that she had, and same with Stede. Stede was just kind of like more out of the picture when it came to it, kind of like in a dissociative manner,
Yes.
just because he does not like women. Hence the shoulder touch.
Hence the shoulder touch. No, well said. And then also like from like their societal norms, what he did was terrible. He like got up and abandoned his whole family, and like he's the only one that can earn money. So like had they been in a poorer financial situation, like when we contrasted that with Ed later when his dad is gone and out of the picture, like Ed is now the breadwinner at like 11, and like versus in Stede's case, like his family can be comfortable because he like once he's quote dead, Mary can now inherit the money as the widow. So like they're kind of okay financially, and like, you know, but like what a shitty thing for Mary to be like, my stupid husband. Yeah. Like I didn't even like him and the bitch left me. Like, yeah, it seems very selfish. And it is a selfish thing that he did, but ultimately like it does work out for all of them, like you said.
And I do like the historical accuracy of a gay man still going through with a marriage with like to like hold up the like illusion that he's straight. Especially with like the lines of like even like the not like statistics, but like the history of like a lesbian woman and a gay man getting together and still having like outside relationships, but being together solely for like the benefits of being married. So like I really like the whole aspect that they chose to do that with, just because it is historically accurate. Like it's very, very nice to see that, because not a lot of shows kind of like mention that when it's kind of like a mockumentary, a historical like type of thing. So it's always nice seeing like it always makes my heart happy when they decide to mention that part of LGBTQ history.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and then, you know, that is what happened with Steve C. Bonnet, you know, in real life and stuff too. But yeah, I agree. Like bearding was a reality because like legally that's how you know, had legal benefits, I guess, yeah, at the time, which, you know, we're fortunate in some places to have them now for like marrying whoever you want kind of deal, which is cool. Speaking of marriages though, let's shoot over to Ed and Stede and the first time they ever meet, because Stede is coming conscious basically in this moment, and Ed has been watching Stede the whole time basically while he's kind of like having fever dreams after the abdomen stabbing. And I love that Ed is like instantly enamored with Stede and vice versa. Like when Stede is well enough to start talking to him, like it's very evident that like each of them have qualities that the other one lacks. And it's very much an opposites attract situation, like from the like first interaction that they have.
Yeah, Stede is an enigma to Ed.
Yes.
And he is just trying to figure out his life while Stede is talking in his sleep. I love how that's their first meeting. And basically Ed's being a good boyfriend and watching over him, making sure he's okay. But Stede has no idea what's happening.
And like
Yeah.
in reality, you can also look at it at the like through the angle of it not really like a caring manner, because deep down we all know that Blackbeard is that way when he's like upfront as Ed. But it can also come from the angle of who is this barely conscious dead man? I'm going to be nosy because I don't have anything else better to do as a pirate with my life at sea. So this is like television for me.
He's 100% nosy. He starts going through all of Stede's stuff. He's like, look at this cool model ship, Izzy. Like, look at these things, Izzy. And Izzy's like, would you be the fucking captain right now? What the hell, Ed?
Like, focus.
He's so nosy.
Oh my gosh. I love. He's like, this is the life I want.
Literally. He's just like, why would a pirate have this on their ship? Like, what possessed him to do these things? Yeah, he's an enigma is a really good word. And truly, like, the title of this episode, like, really, like, sums everything up really nicely. It's discomfort in a married state. So, like, we start with Stede and his literal marriage and how he's uncomfortable. And then Ed is uncomfortable in his, quote, marriage with Blackbeard, which is the mask that he's wearing, the persona he is inhabiting. And so, yes, Ed is very intrigued by Stede's behavior and the reputation he has as the gentleman pirate, because what does that even mean? And so, you know, he's going through all of his trinkets. He's like desperate to talk to him because he's like, wow, like, who are you? Why do you do these things? And he's just because he's so bored. He's like, if he was a typical pirate captain, like, I already know how this plays out. He's at the point where Blackbeard can't lose. Like, anytime Blackbeard gets into a skirmish, Blackbeard wins. Like, it's not fun anymore. He's like, this is so boring. He's just like itching for change. And like, instead of a wife, Ed has Izzy, who's like trying so hard to keep Ed trapped in the box of Blackbeard and just keep the status quo going. Because he's like, listen, I joined this crew because of Blackbeard. And if there's no Blackbeard, what the hell is my life about? So like, he's having like his own midlife crisis. I don't know how they go there, but like his own existential crisis. And then like Ed is also having an existential crisis. And Eddie's trying to like keep Blackbeard while Ed's trying to like be Ed and not Blackbeard. So it's this whole hot mess of a situation. And then like here comes Stede, who's just like throws everybody off their game, even Izzy. And I think Izzy hates that about Stede. Stede throws him off his game too. And he's like this catalyst for change for like everybody, like Stede's crew, Blackbeard, Izzy, Stede's Ed's crew, and it's just like amazing. He gets everybody out of their rut, and like he's this just like exciting person that no one knows what to do with. He's just new, and he just changes everybody, and it's really beautiful how that unfolds.
I just really like Ed's reaction to seeing the tiny replica of the ship. He's like, yeah. There's a tiny ship of the ship.
And I will say, though, they definitely do a good job at capturing Izzy's codependency with Blackbeard. Because, like, while Ed's, like, struggling with, like, the aspects of, like, monotony and, like, as in a sense, like, kind of, like, dealing with his own, like, mortality, like, he's having his own, as you said, existential crisis. Because at this point, they're past the age of midlife.
Yeah.
Realistically, this time period. But yeah, they definitely do a good job of showing like Izzy's jealousy because of his codependency, and if Blackbeard's not Blackbeard and he's just Ed, who am I? Where do I fit in the picture? Which inevitably causes him to lash out in later episodes, which karma does bite him in the ass. But it's purely just the trope of like slightly toxic boyfriend that does good things every now and then, but as soon as you try to move on, it's full-blown narcissistic temper tantrum.
Yes, in a one-sided relationship. Yeah, that's Izzy in the beginning. Izzy goes on quite a journey. I love Izzy's overall arc, but like
he has hella character development.
So much. In season 1, it's just the codependence, the jealousy, everything you just said.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes. This doesn't have to do with Izzy, but back to Stede and Ed. I love when Stede is actually conscious. And they meet, he asks if Ed works for Blackbeard.
I love this.
Yeah. You just see Ed pause. And first, I think he really doesn't understand why Stede doesn't know that who he is. But this does give Ed the opportunity to be someone else for a moment and like be who he actually is now.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
also
go
He's
ahead.
like, yeah, I work for him. But like he does kind of work for him because he's Blackbeard's controlling him.
Exactly. I think that is an app. I think when Ed really thinks about it, he's like, yeah, no, that is my situation. Like, that is a very good way to describe where I'm at right now in life. Did you have something to say, Zoe? I'm sorry, really cut you off.
You're good. You're good. But yeah, no, it was definitely kind of like a sweet scene, just because
It's so
for
cute.
one, there's obviously like the like cockiness of I can't believe this motherfucker doesn't know who I am. The most like arguably one of the most feared pirates. You don't know who the fuck I am, but at the same time, like Kaitlynn said, it gives him the chance to just kind of be like, okay, well, let's take off the mask, take a step back, and like see how this plays, see if I can like potentially use this to my advantage, because that is one of like Ed's qualities. He always tries to do like a risk analysis and see if like something will directly benefit him before participating in it. And we definitely see like he tries to kind of take like advantage of the fact that Ed or Stede doesn't know who he is. Especially with like him being like, yeah, put on my outfit. Well, I'll help you pretend to be like a good pirate. And like how he just puts on like Stede's like one of his many outfits in his fucking walk-in closet, which like if you didn't know Stede was gay up until this point,
I know.
no straight man has a walk-in closet organized by like color coding and shit like that. Let
By
alone
season.
like
Season.
But
The clothes whore.
so like I think the best part of the first day they meet is Stede showing Ed the hidden closet. And it really shows that they both let each other in, because Stede doesn't know about Blackbeard, but that means Ed's showing him who he is. And Stede being willing to show him this hidden closet that the crew, I'm assuming the crew doesn't know about.
No, he says that. He has many
yeah.
secret compartments. Nobody knows about it.
So he meets Ed right away, and there's this instant connection that he feels safe with Ed. But when they're in the closet, Izzy is trying to find Ed, which makes Stede ask if that's Blackbeard. And Ed just casually says, no, I'm Blackbeard. And Stede's face is everything.
It's amazing.
Yeah, one of my favorite little moments that happens in that episode is when Ed is like, why the fuck would you have books on a ship near a fireplace? That's not a good idea.
It's so impractical. You're crazy, man. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think Ed immediately, before they even met, found Stede intriguing. And then when they meet, the first thing he says is, do you work for Blackbeard? Like, doesn't even know who he is. And so I think that question, I agree with everything you guys said about it. I think the other thing to it is that only made him more intriguing to Ed, the fact that he's even asking him, Blackbeard, this. So I love that from the beginning, Ed chooses to be Ed, and then Stede is just very Stede immediately. He's like, want to see my clothing closet? Like,
Unapologetically.
Yeah, they're unapologetically themselves immediately. And like, I think it's significant to note that Ed never wore the Blackbeard mask around Stede, like never. And so the fact that like they form an instant connection that basically forms into something more, I think is so important that it was them, they were being themselves the whole time, and so it's a very organic, real bond that they make, and maybe the first true one for both of them, because Ed is always Blackbeard, and then Stede always has to play the niceties in society, and both of those are performative. So like this is not. So it's just, I love that it's very organic the way it just like plays out with the two of them just being themselves, and they're just like bonding over clothes and like how impractical Stede is as a pirate and like all this stuff. And like Ed's never judgmental. He's like, that's cool, man. He's like, I need to do some of these things because like nobody's, again, he's just change. Stede is change.
Well, I agree with what you said. There is one notable time where Ed put on the Blackbeard mask, and it was the French aristocratic boat party when Ed loses his shit. That is the one main notable time.
That is true. That was a stressful environment for Ed.
That was a stressful environment for a lot of people.
Oh, indeed.
Besides Olu and Frenchie.
Oh my god.
Yeah, those two are
I have many
making
things to
it
say about them. That was amazing.
Well, we will get there.
I'm so excited.
But Stede and Blackbeard, we've basically been saying this the whole time, but they are a foil for each other, and they bond over this foilness. So they're both tired of the monotony of their lives. I won't get too much into it because we've basically been talking about that the entire time. But they want to be like each other. They both have each other's ideal lives that they think is ideal. So Stede doesn't want to be a coward. He wants to be respected and be important. While Ed is tired of people giving up so easily and not having a challenge anymore. Like, how I can't even imagine being that feared that people are just like, I surrender right away. I would hate that life. I'm like,
you would
people
actually
would be
hate that.
scared of me. Yeah. So they wanna be like each other so much that they swap clothes and pretend to be each other in front of the crew. Obviously it doesn't work, but it makes everyone confused.
It's so
Like,
cute.
what are you doing?
Nice, like, little comedic relief.
Yeah, but like Stede and Ed are just having fun too, which I think is important. Like Ed is like, this is ridiculous, but it's fun, you know?
I wonder
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just wondering if this is the first time that Ed let himself be Ed instead of Blackbeard, and if that's why Izzy responded like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Zoey.
No, you're good. I was gonna say I also like how this is like their first of many dress-up montage moments, essentially.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. Which wardrobe is on point in this show.
Yeah. Always, always.
Speaking of which, go check out our interview with Gypsy.
Yes.
We haven't filmed it yet, but you'll see.
We're filming it later, but it will be available to you before we're even in it.
Okay. So I feel it's a really cute sequence when Stede is learning tips on how to be a good pirate, and he's like taking notes. And in return gives Ed tips on living a higher life, especially the pageantry of fine dining. And I also don't understand why there's so many freaking forks and spoons and knives, and why? Just use the same one.
Because the higher you go in society, the more impractical your eating becomes, and that equals civility somehow. It's insane.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The
like,
arbitrary
literally.
bullshit rules of a high-class society.
Yeah.
And like Stede even admits that it's like absolutely absurd when he's like talking to Ed about like the fucking oyster spoon and like the lobster fork or whatever, and he's just like totally out of it. He's like, what the fuck why am I letting this man teach me how to do this?
But the most important thing is that they make each other feel seen for the first time, because they're both misunderstood people in their lives. Like, they have to be a persona, basically.
Yep.
And you can tell that they both yearn for the domestic life, and Stede may not have liked it previously, but that was because he was forced to be with Mary, and you know, he's gay.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Damn it. Gotta rewatch the show.
Yeah,
Did not clock that whatsoever.
And what else do they have in common? What else does every single character in this show have in common? But these two definitely have in
trauma. With a capital T.
I deadass thought she was like, all right, time out.
No, I literally almost hit pause because that is her timeout thing.
Sorry.
You can't do that. You literally asked me. That's why I was like, yeah, okay, my finger is over the pause button right now.
All right, this for trauma. This for timeout.
I'm glad we have a hand gesture for trauma now.
Great.
It comes up so often.
Kaitlyn's face just dropped.
I'm so sorry, Kaitlynn. It's the trauma, isn't it? Let's give you trauma. Anyway, let's get into the trauma. First, starting with Stede. So, like, it started in the pilot where we got flashbacks of, like, the beheading of the bird. And it's like a core memory, I think, for Stede, because he flashes back to it a lot when he's triggered. And I think that it's clear even as a boy, like when he was witnessing like his dad decapitate a bird that they were going to eat, basically, which like, that's, there were no grocery stores where you would get, this already done. Like you had to do it at home, basically. But the dad had Stede there to be like, this is man's work. You need to learn man's work. And like Stede is horrified. Rightly so. He gets sprayed with blood. That's scary.
Yes, I know. We've seen it many, many, many times.
I will say though, that also kind of speaks for like the classing system that they had, because if you had X amount of wealth, that's servant work. The master and mistress of the house, they would not be caught dead decapitating a chicken or any other type of bird. So that kind of speaks for in of itself that while they did have some like standardized class, they were in like a good like wealthy chunk because they had their own like fortune, land, etc. They didn't have enough to have servants. They didn't have enough to have the people to do the dirty work, so they had to kind of cut corners and do it themselves, which is really interesting that they decided to have that take to it, because that kind of shows that Stede wasn't like obviously he wasn't coddled as a child, but like it also shows that he wasn't as like snobby compared to like his other like classmates he went to school with. Specific point in case, the captain that he accidentally killed him and his twin brother, like that's a good fucking example right there, because that shows that they didn't have to deal with that kind of dirty work. They just had people doing it for them, so inevitably they have to kind of play the role of doing the dirty work as a captain by taking charge. So like it's very nuanced in the sense of those types of things with like the historical accuracy and like the historical context, and like it just I love it so much.
Yeah, that is a really, really good point. So it is funny that Stede ends up like, unfortunately, on the other end of like murdering things eventually. But like even as a kid, like you can see that he clearly doesn't have the stomach for like quote traditional masculinity, which is kind of what his dad is trying to show him too. Is like, be a man, like kill the bird, like this is man's work or whatever. So like you see that his personality is not really super compatible with like what's expected of him, I guess, and like in terms of like hit the societal norms that his dad wants him to like adhere to. And later, like he is haunted by he ends up, like you mentioned, Zoey accidentally killing both of these brothers. But the first one, where he stabs him through the eye, like when he hits him on the head and he gets impaled, basically as a result of that haunts Stede for a very, very long time. And he only breaks free of that in episode 2 when he's successful in his first encounter with Izzy, where he basically, like, that's when they have, I forget actually what happened. But anyway, he outsmarts Izzy when like they steal one of his hostages, and then like he has to get the hostage back, and he like they're in the woods, and he's like he has some crew members making a bunch of noise, and Izzy's like, you don't have that many crew members, and he's like, do you want to test me? And Izzy backs off. He outsmarts him, whereas like the traditional male role would have been like fight Izzy one-on-one, like challenge him to a duel, which Izzy does later. But no, Stede uses his like cleverness and his wits to like outsmart all these men. So it shows that like he is capable of like being successful in these like get your hands dirty kind of roles, but his methods are different because he has a different personality. So I love that aspect about Stede. And it's unfortunately that like he's clearly a disappointment to his father, and that's like something that kind of haunts him a little bit too. Because like to his father, he's the firstborn son, he's going to inherit everything, and he has this conversation with Stede when he's younger, and he's like, you're going to inherit all this not because you deserve it, but because you were born first, you won the lottery. And so like poor Stede, he's like, I think he feels like unworthy a little bit in the current life that he's in. He's like, I did nothing to earn this. Like, it's not satisfying, I think, for somebody like Stede, who's like emotional and like takes pride. Like, remember when they find the petrified orange? He was so proud of that. He's like, look, I found this, versus like he was handed all this wealth, and he's like, and his dad's like, you didn't earn this. It's just, we were born first. That's it.
It's also a very like small detail, but I absolutely love how they decide to show off, like they showcase like his like fragility and like him slightly embracing like his femininity and emotional vulnerability when he like full of flashbacks of him as a child, because they show him holding flowers.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all caught that, but like they show that in multiple different scenes. And like again, that's not a traditionally like masculine thing, especially like for like this time period. So I think it's like a really nice, like again, nuanced type of like symbol that he's dealing with, like his dad constantly condescending him, telling him that he's not like worthy enough, trying to be forced into the masculine role when he wants to just be himself, embrace femininity when he wants to. And so like the flower is just kind of like it's like the cherry on top of the trauma cake.
God, that's so true. Yeah, because Stede he wants to be happy, and he's like, these are pretty and make me happy.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Same with Ed.
Yes. Literally.
I think Steve's conversations with his dad was the beginning of him not feeling like he was good enough for anyone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, like, he just wants people's approval as well, which is why he's like trying to be the gentleman pirate, and he wants people to like be impressed by that. He wants to impress people, but it doesn't really go his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's accurate.
So yeah, Ed also has past trauma with his dad.
Oh, does he?
Theora has a lot to talk about, but
we'll talk about
this
that.
is episode 6, but we're on episode 4. So basically an overview. You know what? We'll get there in episode 6. Just all that you know is that Ed also has trauma with his dad.
Absolutely. And his mama.
Yes, and is this in this episode? I wrote my notes differently, but we'll get into this one right now because Theora doesn't have as much to say about it, apparently. So Ed, we see flashbacks of Ed growing up poor with his mother, and something that comes back multiple times is that she tells him that they aren't the kind of people who get nice things, and they never will be. And I think the never will be is what sticks in Ed's head. And he's like, that's what he thinks success is now. Like this, the finer things, the silk. And we see him continuously look at a piece of silk.
And his mom gave him, yeah.
Yeah.
And that just kind of elaborates like Ed's curiosity, because in a sense, that's exactly what his mom was talking about. Like Stede is the embodiment of that, because Stede has everything that Ed wants, including silk, including like a library of impractical books, and including like a hidden walk-in closet. Like it's not stuff that Ed is verbalizing that he wants, but it is the nicer, the finer things in life. And it's just very interesting that it's like it's I think like a good analogy is like a crow looking at or a crow or a raven looking at like something shiny and like gravitating towards it.
Yes. No, absolutely.
But when Stede folds the scarf that Ed keeps looking at and keeps close and puts it in Ed's pocket and tells him that he thinks that he wears things.
Fine things. Nice.
Yeah.
I have much to say about that when we get to that episode. But yes, that's the fancy party episode.
Yeah, I did just want to point out for episode 4, I did absolutely thoroughly enjoy the whole, not to take away from Ed and Stede, but the whole like side quest essentially with like Jim and the crew, and like the crew being convinced that like Jim is a mermaid.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah, we talked about Jim's coming out scene basically in the other episode, but oh my god, the way the crew is just the lovable gang, and they're just adorable.
I do want to just say one thing real quick, but I just want to like reiterate that Stede is just basically everything Ed wanted.
Yeah.
We talked about how like, yeah. So go ahead, continue.
I will say though, if you do want to see Vico, the lovely, lovely Vico, talk about Jim and the character development that they help put into the character, we also have that interview already uploaded, and they do touch upon the mermaid, both Rise and the metaphorical mermaid that the crew thinks Jim is. So definitely go check it out.
Yes, Vico is a lovely, lovely human being. But you know what else was lovely in this episode was the lighthouse trick.
Yes. Very, very clever.
It was very clever. So in this episode, the Spanish dots are heading towards them. This is the dots episode, Kaitlynn. And it's basically Spanish ships that are heading towards the Revenge, who are sitting ducks thanks to a leap year. So Ed's like, fuck. So he goes to Stede's room to get drunk. And it's kind of like their final hours. Stede pulls out the painting of the lighthouse, the one that Mary made him, and he's reflecting on this failure to be the beacon of hope that the lighthouse represents. And I love this sequence because he's like, I was supposed to be a beacon of hope. And Ed's like, you're supposed to avoid lighthouses. What are you talking about? Because it shows you their mindset. So Stede, the refined man, thinks figuratively about things. A lighthouse in literature represents direction, safety, and hope. I remember that was drilled into my head as a kid when we read The Great Gatsby, and they're like, the lighthouse. It's hope. It means his hope. It's Gatsby's hope. But to a man like Ed, who's been a pirate, he's like, no. That's telling me, in practical terms, that there's rocks and I could lose my ship if I get too close to it. It means stay away. So I love the way they kind of use this because like the way Stede is looking at the lighthouse, he's like, oh, these are my failures. Like Stede, the landowner, I was not safety for my family. I was not hope for them, blah, blah, blah. But I would argue that Stede would describe Blackbeard the pirate as his direction, safety, and hope, because that's the thing he's been romanticizing and fantasizing about. And so it really shows that Stede does not think practically. He thinks very figuratively, abstractly, whereas Ed, who's been a survivalist his whole life since he was a little kid, and even as a pirate's a life of survival. It's not really a stable career, stable lifestyle. It's a survivalist lifestyle. And so he only thinks practically. He's like, what's going to keep me alive from one minute to the next? Avoid the lighthouse, right? So I do love that the way one thinks figuratively, the other thinks like literally. And in a way, like that dichotomy of the lighthouse is just so perfect for like Ed and Stede, because like Stede can't see the danger of being a pirate because he only knows what storybooks have said, while Ed has only seen the danger of that life. And for so long, he's lost. He doesn't know what safety is and hasn't had hope in a very long time. So I love that it like kind of summarizes their kind of situation right now and how they're kind of like opposites.
I was gonna even say like it's very like poetically written because Stede is the lighthouse and Ed is the rocks protecting the lighthouse, because Stede is a newfound venture for Ed, and while he does have curiosity like most would around a lighthouse, he also has his guard up and realized that this could either go horribly wrong or it's, like you said, a chance for hope, and there's land ashore. There's finally like a spot for them to dock their ship and just relax and chill. And then on the aspect of Ed being the rocks, it's purely like we've seen a lot of people fuck with Stede. We've seen a lot of people get shot the fuck down and kind of like get the sassy Ed. Blackbeard's coming out to protect him. So it's very like poetically written, and then like for this like lighthouse rock analogy, because it's very fitting for their personalities.
Yes, I love that. Oh my god, sassy Blackbeard is the best too. And so the other thing I love is, so then, unless you had something to add, Kaitlynn. Okay, so then they execute. So after they have this conversation about the lighthouse, then they execute the lighthouse plan again to save them from the Spanish. And not only is it just everything we said about lighthouses, it's the perfect bonding moment for Ed and Stede, because they literally and figuratively ward off the danger, i.e. the Spanish, and ensure the safety of the whole crew. And they find direction by like working together. Like you see how well the two of them work together. Like, and I think they gain hope for a new life through this partnership. Hence, at the next day, like they're just sitting eating marmalade and like making plans to learn from each other while like, quote, the dawn of a new day is breaking over the water. And I love in that moment where they're doing that, and Ed admits, he's like, that's the most fun I've had at sea in ages. Like,
but also Stede had to trust Ed right away, because Ed's like, take a swig of this, don't swallow it, and now blow it into a fire. Like, what the hell? Like, that's gonna make the fire. I'm assuming they knew that.
Knowing Stede, most likely not.
Yeah, knowing Stede, he never had to probably do that. To your point, Kaitlynn, it shows how much Stede trusts Ed immediately. Because why would he not trust Ed? He's like, I don't see this like murderous Blackbeard that everybody is talking about. I only see Ed. And Ed is really great. And Stede feels safe with Ed. And so to have Ed be like, you wanted to be a pirate? Let me show you how to be a pirate. Because like Ed is like teaching him. He's like, you're gonna have to like get low, and like we're gonna have to time this, and he's like coaxing him through the plan, and like Stede is learning quote fuckery and piracy like in this moment, and you can see how like Stede is so into it, and he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it, I trust you. It's very cute. I love it, and they just work so well together. It's just, this was all impromptu. They didn't plan this. They're just like, we got to do this now.
It also gives John Feeney a great opportunity to moo the whole time.
Oh my god, John as the lighthouse.
I will say though, that definitely does show, like that definitely adds to like Stede's character development, because he is very trusting. He doesn't really know how to be a good judge of character, because and to a certain extent he can, because of like him having to do that in like his old life back when he was going to like attending parties and stuff like that and doing business ventures and all of that. But when it comes to him kind of just stepping that aside, because he's like, I'm a pirate now, like I don't have to worry about like the snobbery and shit like that. So it very much shows, and like we see it like time and time again, he doesn't start like trusting his gut when it comes to stuff like that until we meet Calico Jack, until we see how that transforms Ed into a more Blackbeardy type side, because Ed is also trying to keep up the appearance because of his, it's very between the lines, but we definitely know, we get some smidge of confirmation that they were a thing at one point in time. So it definitely, like I said, it definitely adds to Stede's character development, because he goes from very trusting immediately to kind of apprehensive and trying to be like, think more critically about this in terms of protecting his crew as well as Ed. So it's a very, very nice, like well-written character overall.
Oh, absolutely. And like by that point, like Stede has learned quite a bit from Ed about like being a captain and pirating, and like, yeah, that was a big moment for Stede when he like not only had to stand up to like Calico Jack, but he like stands up to Blackbeard too, in a way. Like, yeah, that's a big episode. But like, it all starts here, and it's so great, and they're successful. And I just love that like it just ends with them eating again marmalade on a ship. Is this part when Ed's like, this stuff is great, and he's like, and Stede's like, yeah, no, I got rid of like half of our ammunition so I could stock the ship with it. And he's like, that's crazy, man.
And that's where like it hurts even more so, that after they get done with the marmalade, he sees Izzy is kind of like upset.
Oh, that's this episode.
And he goes and says, oh, well, if Blackbeard were to die, I mean, we wouldn't have really a problem on our hands. And it cuts to see just up on the little post eating marmalade, totally unaware, and you're just having to mentally prepare for like a great betrayal. And like it's so heartbreaking, like it's so insanely heartbreaking, because like it's just like you just spent like presumably like the past couple of days to like a week plus with this man, and you're still convinced that betraying him is the only way to go because people have done that to you in the past. And that just ties back into like Ed's trauma, and it's so well written. I will continue saying that because it's so fucking good.
I do love when he walks away from Izzy, because he's like, hey, like if Blackbeard died and there was a body that was unrecognizable and we said it was Blackbeard, I can retire and then you can be the captain, which is what you clearly want, Izzy. And Izzy's like, okay, yeah, I'll go along with this until we can execute that plan. But then when Blackbeard turns away from Izzy, you see that he's very conflicted. So it's very much like, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? So like, it gave me, the viewer, this anxiety the rest of the show, like watching it. I'm like, is Ed going to do it? Is he not going to do it? So I love when we get to the point where it's very clear he's not going to do it, as he's like, what the fuck, man? You told me you were going to do this, and it's very clear you're not going to do this now.
I want to be captain, foot stomp. You promised. When he really didn't.
Literally. It's a temper tantrum, right?
And like I said, narcissistic temper tantrum. It's coming.
But yeah. This episode is really, really great. I love this episode. This was one of the ones we reacted to, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, this was the first reaction video.
Great episode.
And as you can see, it was a really good pick, because we had so much to talk about it that we only talked about episode 4 in this episode.
We did. Because
Definitely check
lighthouses
out-
and symbolism and stuff. Yay. And cinematography.
It was a beautiful episode.
Beautiful episode. Absolutely love it.
Just your reminder, check out our Patreon so you can view the full thing because we absolutely will not be able to upload this entirety to YouTube.
No, we can barely upload the normal type of reaction video.
YouTube was being homophobic. It wouldn't let us put...
It's not letting us be gay and do crime.
I'm sorry it's so butchered, but like
we couldn't upload
it.
Oh, it was terrible.
I tried to fight it and everything.
Warner Bros was not having it. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, yes. Thank you for coming along with us, crew, on our journey revisiting episode 4. We will end it here and then next time pick up with episode 5 and see how much we talk. And so thanks for coming on this journey with us. We hope you enjoyed. Until next time, stay hydrated for our captain, Lesbian Jesus.
Get your ship together and gay it up all over the place. Bye.
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 And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.